Okay, welcome everybody. This is Stacks Working Group call number 72, Governance Working Group that is. It's beautiful to have you guys. We can get into stand-ups right away. I know for myself, Hero and other advocates, we've been really focusing on this advocates pivot, which I know is an issue here in this repo as well that we can potentially update with the things we've been up to in the last week. Especially this week, we've been focusing really on outward communications and getting a Twitter team together and already having some good follow-ups with this and fleshing out of a team. It's perfect timing as well, as we're gearing up for more usage of the decision-making tool we have. This time we'll have hopefully a lot more seamlessness through mentioning other clans, coordinating clans together as well, working on some things to prettify some of the ways that the issues are going to be viewed as folks are coming into the Discord earlier this morning. And so, yeah, this is some of the things that we've been working on in the last week, being sure that all of these issues are well formed, that there's something for folks to sink their teeth into, has been something, being sure that all the issues are appropriate and can be applicable. We've had some recent changes to how we're thinking about journeys, so we held that issue back, but we have other important issues that hopefully can engender some participation, even from folks that are seeing the tooling for the first time, through having a space for SIPs processes and things like this. Hopefully another point of capture for Heroes, a SIPs working group. And so that, in addition to getting back around to fleshing out landing pages and things like this that are also going to be conducive to outward comms, has been the focus of advocates in these last couple of weeks. So yeah, we can hopefully show some things like this later in the meeting, what's been going on in some of those issues, perhaps. Some exciting stuff in the way of just some standard procedures for the active issues, the good first issue. We also have some oral protocols for reference, points of reference in our consensus decision-making, which we think is an important thing, as opposed to having gridlock, that it's too heavily based on opinion. And so to have a point of reference for collective approaches or what have you, is something that we hope to achieve with the oral code of conduct protocols that we have. So this is an issue that we hope to get out there along with the SIPs. And this will be a reoccurring SIPs issue to ensure that we have consistent SIPs participation and are designing that space into the advocates' decision-making tools. So yeah, there's a couple more things, but I'll shut up there. Blockers to some of these things. There shouldn't be so many blockers. I know the landing page, we want to focus on getting the GitHub pages up as an interim before any really polished landing pages for advocates. The Twitter team is already coming along nicely. Blockers to events or anything like this, I think will be a matter of fleshing out that team over the rest of this week. There shouldn't be so many blockers to decision-making flows this time around. We have all of our roles in place. We have quite a few dedicated people, I think, going to be focused on facilitating the issues through different clans and whatnot. So yeah, but yeah, I'll shut up and see if there's anybody else that'd like to give us any stand-ups. Jason, I know we've been trying to get together on some of the SIP stuff for some time now. Did a lot of reviewing of discussions and some of the more technical SIPs coming up down the line. So yeah, let me know if you guys want to get down on that a little bit today as we have each other. But yeah, I'll leave the floor open.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in and just share a little bit from my side too. I know I'm just attending today to try and catch back up on what we have going on and kind of see how things are going. I had a conflict for a little bit, but fortunately that's cleared up, and now I'll be able to jump back in and be a part of things. As you mentioned, we definitely have the CAB responsibilities as far as some governance CAB, and we do need to review some SIPs. And I know we're kind of working through that async. I expect that to definitely happen over the next 2 weeks. We're at that point where we're ready to do that. It's great to see. I know Hero Gamer is out there looking for more people to join those cabs and to kind of join in on the process. So we'll probably touch on that a little bit later as we go through the issues. Other than that, it was yeah, today is just my goal is to touch base and kind of set my own expectations for what I can do over the next 2 weeks to a month, and just happy to be here. That's all I got, and no other blockers at this time.
Thank you, Connie, Jason. Yeah, as we gearing up for the usage of this decision-making tooling again, maybe we can reach out to you as one of the folks that help us see it through, and coordinate folks into the flows that maybe aren't there already. I think we have a few folks gearing up. Merrick, I think, will be a big help to this for like inside the advocates, folks that maybe haven't gotten into the clan flows yet. There's still a few folks lingering out there. But even the Twitter team and things like this could likely bring folks into the fray, even further away from advocates, and even the ecosystem, even maybe bringing folks in for the first time through some of this governance lens stuff and the SIPs lenses. So yeah, this is exciting. I'll be reaching out to you hopefully maybe later this week as it relates to some of this, if possible.
Yeah, definitely reach out and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah. We got Orlando too in the server, checking things out after some exposure on the Twitter side of things. So it's exciting stuff gearing up already. So yeah, I'll leave the floor open if there's anything else. I know Hero, you've been heads down on some SIP stuff.
Yeah, so I've been speaking to everyone in DM, searching for the CAPS members from different panels, and also lots of SIP editors. So I'm almost not almost, but at least I have like 9 individuals. I'm tasked at least have 10 individuals. I'm only like sort of 1 away, and I know, and even if I just confirm Aaron, like that'll get me to the 10. But the governance CAP is all set and done. So you have yourself, Jason, and Juliet. But I think I also actually asked, because Orlando's doing Stacker DAOs, like all his stuff is all about proposal stuff, governance stuff. So I thought his experience is quite good. And he's been in Stack sort of just after mainnet. So I thought he might be a good addition to your 3 people. So could be 4th to your governance CAP.
Yeah.
Because his stuff is all about governance. Yeah, so that came to my mind, and I reached out to him. I kind of know him from just being in the community. So yeah, so he seems like a decent person, additional. But yeah, so just getting on with finding lots of CAP people, editors, reaching out to people who just want to contribute. But I'm also setting out sort of the expectations of what each group's like the expectation. I think most people, the first reaction they would ask is what sort of commitment they need. So yeah, I just want to set that super clear, and I'll send out to everybody the same message and ask for confirmation that they're happy to with this level of commitment, just as a final confirmation. So I'm working that out. On the community call front, so every week I'm hosting a community call. So this week, tomorrow is about CAPS. Next week is actually about the BTC addresses. Specifically, like if we can unlock NFTs, that'll be great. I think the interoperabilities with Stacks address, Bitcoin address, that we're having a panel of Jude, Ken, Trevor, and Mark from Megaphone. And yeah, I reached out to Jason, and he actually thought maybe he could help me host as well. So that's a great idea. So yeah, maybe Jason can co-host with me, because you got lots of experience in that as well. And I know you've been thinking about that. I joined the Twitter space yesterday, and you mentioned about even incorporating Lightning and stuff. So should be an exciting one for next Friday, the 12th, 10 a.m. EST, for good banter. But yeah, that's sort of from my side, I guess. I don't have any bottleneck as such. I think I'm just like full on getting on with trying to help on SIP front. So I'm sort of taking more of a backseat from Stacks Advocates. But I think there are some things where we can collaborate on. So yeah, I think would be great if you amplify. Maybe people want to be SIP editors, people want to get involved in whatever way. I think that could be maybe, yeah, you guys could help us amplify. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I think Haas can still help out. Twitter flows quite a bit as well in terms of how active he is on Twitter. Linking up with the new Stacks Advocates Twitter, and making folks aware of the SIPs processes could be a pretty good way of coordinating folks into beyond the close coordinating that you're already doing. Thank you kindly for that. It's much more
Yeah.
than just...
I do. I mean, just my own sort of thinking, not speaking for like other people who in the governance process, who are sort of involved in the SIP, is that, yeah, I like to make it like really easy for people, make it accessible for people to join the conversation, at least this from SIP editors' perspective, even if they just comment, just want to help commenting on stuff, that's okay. Like, so yeah, I think I do want to make it sort of almost like fun. It's not exactly fun, but it's like, yeah, just want to make it like less intimidating. Like people don't even know. I meet so many people who don't know what it is still. So I think there's a big educational side, but just educating, I think, can be a little bit dull. So yeah, I just want to make it maybe a little bit more fun, so that it's easier to get people to get involved, or even like involving NFTs and stuff. I think people like sort of NFT. So that could be one way to get more participations. Yeah, so trying to think of all different ideas.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The panel sounds exciting as well. You said this is coming Friday or next Friday, the panel?
Next Friday, because I think it's a big unlock if we can use BTC addresses, not just Stacks addresses, to do more NFTs. I think NFT this cycle onboarded so many people. Like even I came in because of NFT, really, so many people. I think the sheer number of unlocks is just quite massive. If we can make BTC addresses more productive, like even if you don't talk about DeFi, let's just talk about NFT. It's quite big. So yeah, next Friday I hope to have all the people with like technical knowledge, NFT background, like from Mark from Megapond. I'm trying to get Jamil also from Gamma to participate, but I think he's got a wedding, so we'll see. But maybe someone else. But yeah, I think people with good NFT background, people with good technical knowledge, have a sort of bounce ideas back and forth, find a common goal. and see if we can move that on. A little bit like the mining centralization. I don't think it'll be just one conversation. Hopefully, maybe 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah, and Friedger's profile, public profile, is almost seems relevant as well. No, I'm wondering if he's using both .btcs and NFTs with this. I'm vaguely familiar now, but yeah, this is exciting stuff. And yeah, there's another point of collaboration there in terms of, you know, education around, you know, just governance in general that you mentioned. You know, it's something that Advocates is coming up against as well in terms of exposure. And so, yeah, similar, I think just anything too governance heavy can maybe deter folks. But yeah, I'm hoping Turtle Wolf and Bear and some of these models can you know, broaden up the accessibility just in some of the aesthetic, as you mentioned. So maybe this is an important point of collaboration too, on the education front. But yeah, this is all beautiful inroads. Thank you, Kanahiro. Let's see if there's anything in the chat. Okay. Yeah, I'll leave the floor open if there's anything else from folks here.
I got a question. Maybe just people who's been here for a little bit longer. So I'm looking for maybe I'm trying to incorporate like at least have maybe one female on each cap. I mean, it's not like we have to, but just nice to have. So I'm looking for anybody who may be potentially good for ethics. Oh no, diversity. Somebody who's been Stacks for longer. Wonder if anybody got ideas here.
Good question. Yeah, we'll leave the floor open, and I'll do some thinking myself.
I thought of somebody like Shannon, but I think that maybe she's too busy for something like that. From Shannon from Stacks Foundation.
Right. Yeah, maybe too busy. I'm not sure, but let's see.
Can't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think she's a good one for diversity?
Yeah, I think so. If she's a no, she could recommend someone who is as well. So
Yeah.
I'd probably ask.
Cool.
Yeah, I would say Harini, but I know Harini is on leave right now. But yeah, maybe I can ask Harini as well, or ask around. Yeah. Well, thank you, Kanahiro. Good question to get out there on the table. And yeah, a beautiful nuance to those efforts as well. In addition to, you know, DMing folks and trying to do all that due diligence. And then keep us posted on the residency and things like this as well. Hope all is well there in terms of updates. But yeah, well, I'll leave the floor open. I see we have Igor with us. It's beautiful to have you. You're more than welcome in these sessions. They're all open. And yeah, feel free to contribute wherever you see fit, or a brief introduction if we haven't already seen you before, if some of us already know you.
Oh yeah, thank you everyone. I've been attending these for a few weeks. I'm an engineer with Trust Machines, and I'm so far making contributions to the Stacks repository, and also working on some technical SIPs.
Beautiful. Oh, beautiful to have you. Yeah. Let us know if there's any updates you have for us in terms of the world of SIPs. It'd be a beautiful space to get into some of those nuances, especially if you have any technical expertise that we could, you know, make use of before going into our governance cabs or what have you, as it relates to SIPs. But yeah, thank you kindly for spending time with us, and just jump in whenever you feel relevant. Yeah. Is there anybody else that has any stand-ups for us, or anything before we kind of get through issues here? Right. Okay, so I think a lot of these issues are some of the same that we tend to go through, but I think sometimes it's good to have folks that haven't been exposed to it. I don't know how much time we want to spend on this one today, though. I know this is a conversation about board seats and things like this as it relates to the foundation. And yeah, it's just interesting conversation to pick up on if folks are interested. But yeah, I won't stop here for too long if folks don't have much more to add or if there's not any updates here. And we can get into any action items that we see. DWork, I have a link here to some of the testing out of DWork we have with advocates. It will likely be a big part of our landing page as well, as a point of capture and discovery for folks, coming into advocates. So yeah, I think this might be a good space to start coming together with the list of needs throughout the ecosystem, and it can be included into advocates landing pages and flows, across different projects in the ecosystem. If there's anything that stands out, this is potentially a place where we can have some capture. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else on here from anybody here. But yeah, it would likely be something that we're doing for the advocates landing page is coming together with a quality a list of folks that come in to contribute to projects that are already existing, but also trying to identify within projects any needs that can be addressed with these DWork flows or like bounty task creation things. This will also be a big part of where we left off in Journeys in terms of folks catching a rhythm. We have data things and props in advocates to try to track contributions for folks coming into the ecosystem. And we also have evaluations and things like this that go on there. But to have a list and a board of things available for folks to do if they wanted to do them is an additional thing that we want to add to advocates as advice from Jenny to have some points of capture there. But yeah, we'll go on if there's not much here. I know this is some work from Jason, just some general theme stuff when it comes to our GitHub repository and the GitHub pages that we have. So keep going from there. Unless there's any updates from Jason, I don't think he's usually just letting us know that that's there if we want to make any changes. And this is some work I think now that Hero's taken up a lot of this. Yeah, I don't know if we'd like to update based on some of Hero's work here, or if it's just an additional project management space for yourself, Hero, or a place to.
In these things keep coming up. Like, do we need to close them at some point? Like, is it like, for example, when I've recruited everybody, then that I will post update there, and then this issue gets closed, or
yeah, I think that'll be the time to close this one. Yeah.
Okay.
Is somebody else saying something?
Oh yeah, no, I was just confirming the same thing. That's correct. Like, the idea here is that we pick an action or we pick a discussion and we see it through until each one of those is completed. So you'll see like some action items around some work I did in the past. Some are around initiatives like this that started out, but you're happily taking over and doing a good job with. So I would just throw a little information maybe in here and we can close it out when you're done, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Next time we talk about it.
Cool.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you kindly, Hero, Jason. So yeah, I think this is work from Juliet as it comes to code of conduct. We may be able to close this out already. I'm not sure exactly where she left off with it. But yeah, I think it's kind of stagnant at this point. But I'll double check with her. and this is the Stacks decision-making testing. There's some nice updates there. Some, folks can plug into where we left off in journeys. I think we're trying to figure out exactly what angle the support is going to come from from the foundation when it comes to this, or how we're going to approach it going forward in advocates. Yeah, there's a few issues there, not all of them. So I can update this with some August updates here soon after this call. But I'll update it with what folks will likely be seeing as they come into coordinating around decision making in the coming weeks. So yeah, there's a nice one pager there for folks wanting to catch up on some of our decision making as well. Let me see. Should be, yes. Here is where you'll find, I think, the latest on how we're thinking about the design of the Turtle Wolf and Bear, and the decision-making processes we have, combining Harvard and Oxford's MetaGov policy kit tooling. There's also, connections to source credit and things like this in the server, but particularly for decision making, it's really a connection between policy kit and Discord, allowing for folks to author different posts and change these posts based on the consensus in real-time calls or asynchronous threads. And we have a flow between different clans, and particularly protections, to ensure that there's autonomy and access to your voice in these processes, including the voices of women. And so there's interesting sequencing and structures that make it so that we can track these things in the long term, right? Ensuring that voices of women ecosystems as well don't get drowned out in decision-making processes. And Turtle Wolf and Bear, though they may sound simple, are a big part of tying all those things together and having it a big part of representative democracy, so to speak, right? But really piggybacking off of these precursors to democracy and these indigenous design systems. So a lot of the representative structures are similar and familiar, but also very, very particular to try to, track for the voices of women in ecosystems, for example, ensuring that there's autonomy in decision-making processes. So before attaching the Turtle Wolf and Bear clan design onto the tooling, that allows for like these periods of quorum times and folks to gather, and then a dissent period time as well after this. There was both females and males jumping into these discussions, and it's a beautiful thing. I mean, you can see just in that in the long term, there wouldn't be any surefire way to ensure that there isn't interference in the same sense as like there's interference between nations in like authentic diplomacy. If there's interference before folks come to the table, it's hard to say that those that the voices are autonomous, right? When coming together at the table, and it's hard to say if there's any true diplomacy or dialogue. And so the same idea as it relates to thinking seriously about the voices of women in ecosystems and the long-term complex dynamics of things, to seriously think about the autonomy there and build that into design is something that we're really excited for in terms of, once it gets exposed to folks, but also to see, how this maybe engenders participation or a different type of participation with that tangible autonomy throughout the system. So yeah, I know we don't get to speak too much on that in these sessions, and don't want to go too far into it unless folks have some more thoughts. But yeah, these are some of the updates folks can catch up on in these documents there. And part of what we want to get out there in terms of outward comms and things like this as well, and try to make it as digestible as possible for folks. But yeah, I'll move on. Leave the floor open if there's any comments. Okay, checking out the chat and go into discussion. So this is a little bit of what we've been discussing a little bit today in terms of outward comms. We had a session with Jenny not too long ago, asking us to really double down on this, let folks know that there's actually stuff being built here and is actually available for the community to tap into. So we'll be trying to leverage as much as possible the exposure coming out of the Twitter flows and Twitter team that we're getting together, the landing page teams and things like this, welcoming team upgrades that Hero has been a big part of in advocates. And so, yeah, this is, I think, you know, how we're thinking about it, leveraging collaborations with folks like Orlando or Hero as it relates to some of these other projects as well. I think will be a big part of letting folks know the tooling that's available in advocates. I think Haas mentioned, he's with us today, but he mentioned also making what we have that much more plug and playable as well. I'm not sure what he's trying to achieve technically in terms of this, but it's probably over my head anyway. But it's something that I know he's been thinking about for some time now. But yeah, I don't know if there's any other comments, questions as it relates to this, or if there's anybody interested in helping this process through, we'd love to have your help in from any angle that you see. Okay. And this is something here that we still have to get. Maybe we can close it out now. I know that Runa has seen this. It's a nice link here. I think it might be nice to keep up just, I think for some of the SIPS process, some of this discussion from Jude was relevant for some SIPS processes. So I think we can make a clip out of this timestamp from Jude, really get into the narrative about mining, right? And just how many different types of decision making is going on in chains of today. So yeah, this is how I'm thinking about this, and we could probably close it soon. Yeah, I feel like I'm talking a lot. Let me know if there's any.
No, I'd say that's good, man. Like if it's been covered, let's go ahead and just keep it moving and closing. Because keep in mind too, issues can be reopened. So if you feel like something is addressed, you can just type something in there and hit the close button. It's not a big deal.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and the community funding streams, I think, is something from Philip. We still haven't had a conversation with Philip around, and Journeys has changed, I think, quite often in recent weeks in terms of the angles of support that we have for Journeys. So we'll have to have a discussion with Philip as it relates to this, maybe outside of the context of Journeys even now, but it felt important. And I think usually Philip is in an airport around the time of our session, so it'll have to be async. And once we get something in there, we'll close that out too, as what you just mentioned, Jason. And bounties, I think, are something that we're going to be trying to achieve through D-Work now. I'm not too sure all of the support is going to be involved here, but I think as long as there's some solid bounties there, or quality bounties that I think are undeniable, the foundation will have no problem helping it along. But yeah, whatever the D-Work points of capture look like on the advocates landing page may be one of the points where we focus on bounties again. I know we've been thinking about Journeys for some time as it relates to bounties, and I think that's still the case. But you know, and for folks that don't know, Journeys is something, a word coined by Haas, really trying to focus on intrinsic incentives as opposed to just purely extrinsic incentives when it comes to like a bounty or task creation like model. And I think a lot of that is just focused on support and mutual aid in the community and leveraging that to help folks catch rhythms and go a little bit deeper and, you know, past just, you know, getting paid to do tasks, maybe going a little bit deeper into the world that the tasks pertain to. And using some flows in the clan design and things like this to achieve that type of support. But D work is something that we're thinking of as can be like an initial onboarding where maybe things start off a little bit more extrinsic, but you know, they work their ways into more of like a journey like experience. And yeah, the journeys experience, we were thinking of it, looking at not too unsimilar than to the decision-making processes where there's these bottom-up quorums and the use of policy kit to gather folks around particular projects or journeys. And then also leveraging Haas's smart contracts that he's made that can be tapped into right through the Discord with the bot commands that he's put together pretty nicely. And so he allowed for this micro DAO creation that you can see on some of those other journeys links earlier. And but yeah, this is how we were thinking about journeys. I think now with the grants program going back to GitHub and some changes there, Haas is rethinking some of the design there, at least in the final steps of journeys. But yeah, this is all the stuff that we've been thinking about in terms of bounty creation. And I think Jason has some issues linked here that can point us to
Yeah, I'll give a quick overview, and I think we can actually close this one out in favor of the newer one. But just to go back on what the history is there, like we were originally thinking it would be great to have somebody who would like record notes and publish them or publish the videos after, or, you know, like take those extra steps that require a little time and end up getting a probably some kind of compensation or something similar. So we've been talking about how that's going to work. I actually got you on that one, Harold. I had it typed up, so I just go ahead and refresh. But what we can do with things like this is now that this particular item is being worked on, everything is going to be updated and probably follow from that new DWork issue. We're just going to close this one out. We're going to follow things in DWork and keep headed down that path. I think it's awesome.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you, Conley, for doing that much quicker than I can. And yeah, I think this is some backlog stuff from Jason in terms of meeting notes cleanup. I need to make sure we're pretty up to date in terms of YouTube now, but now I got up to date on some of the GitHub pages and things like this, but now I probably need to catch back up on some YouTube links on the GitHub pages. And so, yeah, then this is it stands for Tura Wampum, and STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And yeah, this has been up for some time now, and there's work streams coming up, as I mentioned, I think in previous sessions, where we're catching up with the designer engineer out of the Fab Academy network at MIT. And I'll probably update on how we're thinking about data and governance and as it relates to this stuff. Maybe here somewhere as well. Yeah, it's definitely here. This Collabora client is really the emphasis or how this relates to governance in terms of MIDs or mediators of individual data, and how that can relate to, you know, on-the-ground impact and, you know, where governance comes in. So having something like this connected to Gaia hubs and things like this can do a whole lot in terms of local and regional data management, and even if it's a small prototype, and connecting it with SDGs related STEAM projects across ages and education backgrounds is the idea here. And we'll be posting some updates in terms of any of the progress there. The pandemic has shaken a lot of that world up, it being so community based and you know, makerspace kind of based, where folks are working together in small places. So I hope to get some of that updated. These are more backlogs, and The fireside chat series should be updated soon as well, with Twitter Spaces work and things like this. There are a few recordings I think that Merrick may be able to give to us that have happened with advocates as well, that have been pretty good. So yeah, I'll make sure to try to keep folks posted there in terms of upcoming events, but also recorded events. And more backlog from Jason here in terms of resources and language translations. Translation should be huge in terms of bounties and task creation as well, in terms of one of the things high up on priority list still. And there's a lot of translation work in advocates that could probably use some connections throughout the ecosystem as well, in terms of some of the Chinese translations and things like this. So maybe something happens through the work there. But yeah, that's it for today in terms of discussion. But we want to open up for anything on people's minds before we close. We have 15 minutes, so it's a quicker one. Yeah, it's beautiful to have you guys. Thank you kindly for your time as always. Yeah, I'm really excited for any SIP stuff coming up, whether it's inside my cab or out, all of the news from yourself, Hero. So thank you kindly for all of that again.
Yeah, thank you. I just, in case you didn't read the chat, so just FYI, like in the next few weeks, I should have all the CAPS members ready.
Wow.
So we should be almost there.
Beautiful, man, beautiful.
Awesome. And as you're looking to like finalize that and put everything into GitHub or anything like that, happy to help with that as well.
Oh, thank you so much, Jason.
Yeah, thank you kindly. Yeah, and is there anything you're concerned about, Jude, when it comes to SIPs, or any angles you're thinking about in terms of engendering participation?
Well, and the only SIP news I have at all really, beyond what Hero has been working on, is that SIP 15 is probably going to be the next one that the blockchain engineers at least work on, because that's going to become the Stacks 2.1 SIP. That should be hopefully finished by the end of September, if not earlier. We just have to go back to the change logs and figure out how to turn all the code back into the things we're proposing.
Good. All right. So we have a little time.
Cool. Jude, I was thinking to have a run through of even like a practice run using SIP 13, so that each team sort of get already done it sort of once, and then can leverage that additional experience to review SIP 15.
Yeah, sounds good. SIP 13 I think is just technical though, so we should just get the technical cab in place for this.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and Jason, were you leaning a certain way in terms of our GovCab? I know there's a few technical focus SIPs, but just wanted to know if you saw anything that stuck out that may want our Gov lens on it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the consideration tracks right now because I just kind of thought new ones came up, we'd be looking at it, but how does that work exactly, just for the process a little bit, if you could outline, Jude? So we're in the governance cab. We typically handle things that would, it's in our bylaws too, but I think anything that affects the governance process, but not things that go through the governance process, right? Like, so there's a possibility that a technical SIP would pass without us needing to review it.
That's correct, and that's already happened too.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so yeah, in that case, we may not, it looks like we don't have anything that's sitting here requiring our review, but it'd be good just to probably touch base and just talk about some of those changes that are coming, because they're fun ones either way.
Yes. I was following some of that freeze discussion and catching up with some of the roadmap Jude has gotten together there most recently. But yeah, trying to do some due diligence there, reviewing some of that stuff. And yeah, it'll be interesting to come together and see what was interesting to you, Jason. And yeah, can't wait. All right. Okay, y'all. This has been a beautiful session as always. I hope we got some good updates out to you guys. And yeah, it's a pleasure to have you, Igor. It's beautiful to have someone from that technical SIP side here. Maybe help us with that that question you had earlier, Jason. If we ever miss anything about the technical SIPs, if there's any overlap ever, it will be dependent on you, Igor. Or Jude, of course. But yeah, thank you kindly, y'all, for the time. Stop the recording. Thank you, Igor.